What is up, everybody? This is another episode of the Chronically Motivated Project. I'm your host, Chris Ruden, and today is Donuts and Diabetes Day. I usually take a more comedic approach to a lot of my podcasts, but today I'm going to be a little bit more serious. There's a topic I've been wanting to touch on for a while, and it's a really bad issue in the diabetic community. Today is all about A1C shaming. A1C, it seems like it runs our lives. Like everyone, as a diabetic, if you talk to another diabetic, one of the burning questions inside, so what's your A1C? And if your A1C is higher than the other people around you, than the other people in the social media world, you almost feel bad about yourself. You start shaming and blaming yourself and feeling embarrassed and less than, you know? Why is that? Let's really dig into this. A1C is a measure of your average blood sugar over the last 3 months. That's it. That's all it is. It's not who you are. It's not a grade. It's not a label. It's just an average of your blood sugar over the last 3 months. But somehow we take it to mean that it's something that defines who we are as a person. Like if my A1C is above 7 or above 8, I'm a bad person or I'm a bad diabetic. I hate that term. There is no bad diabetic. Like A1C alone does nothing but manage your blood sugar average. And we accept this label. We even give labels. Like in our community, in our support community, we almost attack people for having higher A1Cs. Like if someone posts their A1C and it's 8.4 and people start writing, oh, why is that so high? Or, oh, you can do better. Or you're probably eating too much stuff. You're not taking your insulin the right way. There's so many attacks. Like people are just throwing stones at their fellow diabetics because of their A1C. Because it's not up to their standards or because it's not up to some societal standard? Seriously? You don't know what they dealt with. A person who was first diagnosed at an A1C of 12 or 15, I've heard some crazy stories of A1Cs. Imagine yours. Think back to when you were first diagnosed. What was your A1C? You know, you don't know their entire situation. You don't know what they're going through in life. Regardless of what they're going through, whether they're going through a lot or nothing, whether they just chose to not manage their blood sugars to their best of ability, that doesn't matter because that's their choice. You have no right to shame someone based on their A1C. None. None. Especially knowing that it causes embarrassment and people feel judged based on their numbers. People are more likely to lie about their numbers or hide because they feel like they're competing with their A1Cs now. Like, this isn't a grade. Your A1C is not a grade. It's not a full picture of who you are, but we take it sometimes to make it that way. We see an A1C that's elevated and we're like, wow, I suck. I just can't master diabetes. All this negative self-talk that does nothing but puts you further down the hole in diabetic management and doesn't help you whatsoever. But it's because the number has become a platform of judgment, so to speak. The other problem with people is that they boast about having such a low A1C. Just as you shouldn't feel judged for having an elevated A1C, you shouldn't boast or be cocky or talk crap to other people because they're beneath you because your A1C is low. So what? Good for you. Like, honestly, that is incredible to have an A1C in the 4s or the 5s. Like, that's commendable. And I believe everyone has the ability to do it at some point in their life. And some people more than others. And some people it's easier than others. But some people it isn't. And again, that doesn't matter because no one else's life is your business. You know, if you are sacrificing your quality of life for your A1C, what are you really doing? Is your quality of life lower because you're trying to get a lower A1C? Because isn't the point of having managed blood sugars to have a better quality of life? Not necessarily longer, because if your quality of life sucks and you live a long time, that just means you live longer with a crappy quality of life. That sounds like torture to me. Doesn't sound like quality of life. If you're starving yourself or going low or not treating your lows, which is extremely dangerous and against any sort of medical advice that I was ever given, I don't know about you, that is not... You're going to parade around with an A1C that you've been starving yourself, or you've been, practicing really negative habits towards yourself. That's why A1C is not the perfect indicator of who you are as a person or your diabetes management. It just isn't. If you're going low all the time and then you're going high, but you have an awesome in-between average, like, that doesn't matter. Glucose variability matters too, but still not to the point where you can judge someone, still not to the point where you're a bad person because of your blood sugar numbers. We all know that the only things that affect our blood sugar is everything. So this disease is very difficult, and it's very individual, and it's very emotionally taxing for a lot of people, some more than others. And stress also affects the blood sugar. There's so many different reasons and lack of reasons that you could have elevated or lower A1C. But that still doesn't give you a right to throw stones. It still doesn't give you a right to judge or feel judged. We're supposed to have a supportive community of diabetics to help each other out. Not to condemn each other for things that aren't indicative of the quality of a person. And social media has blown that out of proportion. Now there's so much fear-mongering. There's so much, look at my perfect line. Look at my perfect diabetes life. Look at the highlight reel of my diabetic life. We're showing the things that we only want people to see that look good, because we're so scared to be transparent, because then we're going to be judged. But more often than not, we all experience the same things. I personally refuse to live in fear because of an A1C that was higher than last 3 months ago. You have no right to judge me. Regardless of what I do or regardless of what you do, there's no right to judge at all. There are groups out there. I won't name specifically, but I hope you understand. There are these preachy, cult-like groups out there that condemn people to the depths of hell if they treat a low with a banana. And that's a very specific incident that I encountered with a certain group of people who refuse to eat carbs and consider carbs to be the devil. And if your A1C is not below 5, then you can't sit with us. Like, that's not a healthy behavior. That's not a healthy lifestyle. That's not a healthy mentality to have. That develops bad relationships with food, with blood sugar management, and that creates disorders among people, and it creates misery in life and lowers the quality of life, which is the whole point in life, is to have a quality of life that I just don't understand. It leads to emotional distress. It leads to all these issues that worsen someone's life. A1C is not fully indicative of complications, of a complication that you're going to get. And somehow people have taken to understand that A1C can help reduce your chances of developing complications. Yes, they've taken that fact and somehow applied it to, if A1C can reduce your chance of complications, then you need to have low A1C or you're a crappy person. What? Get off your pedestal and help your fellow people. You know you were in a crappy situation at one point or another with your diabetes management or anything in your life. Don't be that person that judges. Like, if you are and you're listening to my podcast, just go off now, because that is not something I support whatsoever. And back to the whole A1C thing and complications. I spoke to a leading certified diabetes educator and researcher, Gary Shiner, about complications. And he was telling me that about 50% of complications occur related to a person's A1C. So about half of complication incidences can be related to the A1C. That means the entire other 50% are other factors, like genetics, like lifestyle, like nutritional habits. Those are all major factors, but we ignore those and we only focus on the A1C. That's diabetes. Diabetes management is A1C. No, it's not. Diabetes management is diabetes management. It's life management. A1C is a part of it, not all of it. Do you understand that? Do you understand that if you are sedentary and have a crappy lifestyle but still manage to have a 4.9 A1C, that not only can you still get complications at a low A1C, which is a very possible thing, just as you cannot get complications with a high A1C for a long period of time, shown statistically. Not only can you not get you can still get complications at a low A1C, but you can have non-diabetic complications from your lifestyle choices, like being sedentary, being extremely overweight, and having all these metabolic risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and all these other issues if you smoke or anything else. So if you think it's okay to judge and shame people based on their A1Cs, or you kind of scoff at people who have a higher A1C than you, but your lifestyle isn't managed fully, you're at risk too. You're at a greater risk than people with a good A1C, not great. You're at risk greater than people with a good A1C and a perfect lifestyle or an awesome lifestyle where they work out regularly, they eat right, and they're not smoking and they have lower blood pressure. Those other factors play into heart disease, play into the major complications you see from diabetics often. And you got to start questioning. You think it's always the A1C that results in these complications, but look at their lifestyle. Look at everything else. It is a multifactorial happening in terms of complications. No one has the right to judge regardless of anyone's A1C. And this is a message I challenge you with. This is a project I challenge you with, to encourage community and support for people of all A1Cs, people of all lifestyles. Offer assistance, but don't condemn. Offer assistance, but don't judge. Help. Help those that want to be helped or who are asking for help. And support those who aren't and are just trying to be transparent. Don't deny someone the opportunity to feel welcome or to feel support because of whatever diabetes management tactic they're using or not using. We're all in this together, and for us to ever find a cure, it takes cohesiveness among type 1 diabetics and type 2 diabetics. But I'll save that for a later talk. Just remember, it's not always their A1Cs that they need to fix, but rather it's your attitude that you need to fix if you're the one judging based on someone's numbers. It's just a number. It can change, and it will change. Keep that in mind. That wraps up today's Donuts and Diabetes Day. I took a little more serious approach today because seriously, A1C shaming is a huge problem in today's world, especially among the social media and the diabetic groups and just diabetic friends in general. So do your part and help those who want to be helped. Make sure you check out next week's episode on the Chronically Motivated Project, coming back to you Monday. If you're not already, follow me on Instagram at Chris Ruden, or you can go to my website, chrisruden.com. I will talk to you guys later.